Like, I'm not like I don't know, like, I feel like I don't know. I think that's, we played fast, we played up tempo. That's where like I kind of got.
What were you going to say though? You don't know.
I don't know.
What her admirers have been speculating about throughout the season was finally verified by Caitlin Clark. Additionally, you'd best pay attention if you're managing a temperature. She spoke with Sue Bird on her podcast, and although she usually uses extreme caution when speaking for public relations, she relaxed just enough to share what's actually happening behind closed doors and her feelings about it. To put it mildly, she doesn't appear to be impressed with her instructor. It was not an outright assault. She didn't specifically mention anyone, but the underlying message is clear if you pay close attention to what she said, who she commended, and her criticisms of the professional game. And that's significant because she is directly impacted by what she is describing. Profession. Additionally, interfering with Caitlin Clark's career puts women's basketball players' livelihoods at danger for many years to come. I'll be dissecting her specific words, explaining why they are significant, and showing how they support the cries of supporters throughout the year. Please leave a comment before we get started. Is Caitlin Clark being held back by Stephanie White? Is it true or not? And press the like button. All year long, Fever fans have been shouting it. By imposing a slower pace and playing Caitlin off the ball, Stephanie White is killing this team. Indeed, there have been highs and lows. Caitlin has suffered harm. She has missed games. That's the standard justification used by the apologies, Stephanie White. Here's the problem, though. This has little to do with injuries, in my opinion. I believe Stephanie White prefers to coach in this manner. Consider this.
Well, you see the Mavs just playing differently without Luka on the floor. He's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping, multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone's stepping up.
She really states that she liked the Maverick style of play sans Luka Doncic because it involves more movement and all players. It also makes me think of Caroline Peake's well-known hot rubbish take.
I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away.
Same exact mindset. The idea that the team is better when the ball isn't in one player's hands. Now look at this. This is Stephanie White after Caitlin returned from injury.
You know, I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I don't worry about Caitlin getting back into the flow offensively. I worry about, I wouldn't say worry, but I think my biggest concern is when we reintegrate her, how do we continue to keep our ball movement and getting the ball going, not just side to side, but baseline to baseline.
She is clearly more concerned with ensuring Caitlin doesn't interfere with my system than she is with maximizing Caitlin Clark. The issue is that when Caitlin is in charge of the offense, the pace, and the decision-making, she performs at her peak and the spectators are most enthusiastic. Caitlin is aware of this, which is why her remarks when she sits down with Sue Bird begin to resemble those of a player who isn't entirely happy with her coach. She also let her defenses down more than normal during this interview. Let's get started, then. First, hear her extol the virtues of her Iowa coach's practice management. Additionally, pay particular attention to the unintentional jab at Stephanie White that is concealed within the complimentary message.
Even our backup post players, like, I always think about like how Coach Bluter like ran practices and things, and like I'm very fortunate looking back and like now going to like watch other colleges' practices and things like that. Like, she really like was so intentional about like making sure everyone was on the same page and like knew what they were doing and knew their role. In a way, like when I talk to people about it, I like joke like she brainwashed people, not like actually, but like
no,
you
part
like
of it is a
were
little
like
bit of
brainwashed into like,
yeah.
Okay, if you drive here, like you're going here and you're going here. And like even now at the professional level, I'm like, how do people not know like where to move? Like it blows my mind still. Like, but I think it just makes me like really appreciative of like what Coach Bluter was able to do when we were at Iowa. Like she was so smart. She was able to like construct a team and make sure everyone always knew what they were going to do, whether you were the smartest basketball player on the team or you weren't. Like you were always on the same page with your teammates.
This has a lot to be unpacked. First of all, her Iowa coach Lisa Bluer deserves a huge compliment for this. We're talking about a woman who made it to the national championship game twice despite having a team that wasn't loaded with UConn and other 4- and 5-star recruits. That is not a coincidence. That occurs as a result of the team's excellent coaching. Everybody was aware of their role. Everyone knew exactly where they were meant to be and what their roles were, and they executed it precisely. The machine was well maintained. However, you then change the channel to the wand. It's like night and day. When Caitlin says it's mind-blowing that her teammates don't know where they're meant to be, we have to presume she's referring to them. That isn't a casual remark. That's a huge assertion. And who's meant to instill those information in the players? You can't deny that it's at least partially an inadvertent jab at Stephanie White, who is meant to establish that benchmark as Lisa Bluer did, the head coach. It is hardly a chemistry issue if your best player publicly expresses how amazed she is by how perplexed her teammates are. It's a coaching problem.
Repetition's a real thing. Practice is a real thing. And if we listen to some of these Indiana Fever players speak about what's currently going on, there's not nearly enough practice. Caitlin Clark speaks about how in the WNBA, players still don't know the correct spot to be in. We see that often this year. Last year, that was running rampant all over these Indiana Fever games. You couldn't go one Indiana Fever game without Caitlin Clark throwing a pass to a spot where the player needed to run to. Instead, the player ran the complete opposite direction.
The problem is that Stephanie White isn't the only one. This similar issue was present last year as well, as Ben Daniel notes. Players are confused in the offense, lack practice reps, and don't know where they're headed. However, Caitlin no longer views this as a little developing pain. Now that it's year 2, it's obvious that it's contributing to a larger, more discouraging picture of her, both on and off the court. Whether Caitlin intended it to appear this way or not, what follows essentially dispels any possibility that there is significant tension building behind the scenes.
I think one of the special parts of your game is that balance, and clearly you figured that out early. So what in that, if you can think back to that time, what are you learning about that balance and how to achieve both?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always been a part of my game. And I think the pace at which I play, that's where a lot of my assists come, in transition. I'm not I don't know, I feel I don't know. I think that's, we played fast, we played up tempo. That's where I kind of got.
What were you going to say though? You don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
There, Caitlin caught herself, and it's serious. You can practically see the calculation taking place in real time as she talks about how she gets the majority of her assists when transitioning and playing with pace. She is about to describe the type of player she isn't when she abruptly stops in the middle of her sentence. If she completes that idea, she is essentially acknowledging that she is not a part of the current system which will make headlines. Instead, she shrugs quickly. I don't know. But let's face it, I'm not sure about it. That is, I know exactly what I'm thinking, but it will cause issues if I express it out. Caitlin has already made a suggestion at this time, the fact that her coach isn't telling her teammates where they should be on the court. She is now suggesting that the system she is being expected to adjust to is not a good fit for her. That is a combination of the incorrect system and a lack of guidance. Additionally, that could hinder a player's career like Caitlin Clark. However, the next 2 segments are jaw-dropping, so that's still not the most telling aspect. They don't merely allude to irritation. They essentially validate what Caitlin Clark supporters have been saying about her behavior throughout the season. Coached, or perhaps more precisely, the manner in which she has been impeded. And it goes beyond playing her off the ball or coming up with attacking plans. This is more profound. It's a psychological issue.
I think the risk assessment thing, maybe it's a toxic part of me, but I always think it's going to go well. And then I throw it and it doesn't go well.
Honestly, a little delusion is nice.
Yeah, I
feel
definitely have some
in
delusion.
order to be great,
for sure.
You have to have it.
For sure, I definitely have some delusion. And all the good players have delusion.
Yes.
That's just true, the truth. You have to think you're better than you actually are at the end of the day.
100%.
You have to have that confidence about yourself.
She understands. You must have enough self-assurance and a strong belief in your ability to make the move. It isn't arrogance. It's instinct. And instinct originates from a single source: representatives. Endless repetitions. In his book Blink, Malcolm Gladwell discusses how people can make snap decisions without any conscious deliberation. Why? Because the subconscious is trained to spot patterns rapidly through experience. That's the essence of Caitlin Clark. Thousands of game scenarios ingrained in her muscle memory, years of compulsive training, and an exceptional basketball IQ that enables her to see the floor in ways most gamers are unable to even comprehend. This is the foundation of her legend and notoriety. Reading, responding, and coming up with plays that turn games on their head without overanalyzing. And she's a force of nature when she's allowed to cook and play that way. She is the type of player who transforms the sport in addition to winning you games. Fans swarm stadia for this reason. Because of this, when she's on the court, WNBA viewership soar. Attendees are there to witness her perform magic in real time, not to participate in a system. This next sentence is particularly concerning because it raises the possibility that Caitlin Clark's instinct, which is what defines her, is being suppressed.
But I think that's even been something like me and Steph have like always talk about when we go and watch film, and even like that New York game where like I played really, really well. Obviously scored a lot of points. I think I had 9 assists or 10 assists that game. This just this last game this year. I started the fourth quarter off with like 3 turnovers in a row or 2 turnovers in a row, and Steph yanked me, and she was like this is like a learning moment. Like you got to be able to like, yes, like maybe it could have been there. Like maybe you could have thrown a little bit better of a pass. Maybe they could have caught it, but like, do we need that in this moment? Like no. And then she subbed me back in, and there was a play where I kind of got a steal, and like we're going in transition, and Kelsey Mitchell just like takes off down the middle of the floor, and so there's like 2 people kind of by her, and I literally like go to grab the ball, and then I like just dribble out, and I like literally just start smiling so big, and I look at Steph, and I like told her after the game,
that better be on film.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't understand how hard it was for me to not throw that, and she's like, oh, I know, trust me. Everybody was like, we saw you about to throw that.
Look, I understand the concept of taking responsibility and making wise choices at the time. In a coach's meeting, it sounds fantastic. However, did you see that play? Kelsey Mitchell was completely exposed, and Caitlin has been getting away with it since she was a teenager. But she was hesitant. Why? Because Stephanie White seems to be purposefully eroding her unique qualities. She is being made to play it conservatively and passively, which not only slows down the game, but also saps her competitive spirit. Fans are spending a lot of money to see Caitlin Clark in a neutralized form. They want her to cook freely and quickly, because everyone eats when she is permitted to cook. The Fever seem to be installing a governor on the very engine that should power the entire business at the moment.
I have a sneaking suspicion. You guys know what putting a governor on a car is? I feel like Stephanie White has put a governor on Caitlin Clark. Oh, I need you to play this way. I need you to be extra careful. I need you to blah, blah, blah. When Caitlin Clark is saying, if I'm going to play make, there are going to be some turnovers with it. In case you're wondering who the leader in turnovers is in NBA history, it's LeBron James. I mean, how many games have we seen in LeBron's career where he's went for 28, 7, and 9? That's what you're dealing with here, all right? And he's going to have turnovers. She's going to have turnovers. You got to let Caitlin cook. You got to turn her loose.
The point has already been raised. Even LeBron makes mistakes occasionally, but you have to accept it because you have to give your greatest players time to develop. At the WNBA level, this is where concerns should be raised.
Also, when you don't play, there's a dip, like a substantial dip. So how do you handle, does it impact your patience? You know what I mean? Like you're coming back from this injury and you know this, everybody knows this, that when you play that changes.
Yeah.
I guess the better question is, how are you like managing it so it doesn't impact your patience?
Yeah,
I know you want to be out there.
Definitely been hard.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm gonna go to every road game no matter what, like whether I'm playing or not. Like, and it's hard because obviously I do feel this like responsibility of like being out there and playing, and like, not that I like think there's like a fear of any of this ever going away. Like that doesn't happen when like LeBron or Steph get hurt. Like they're always gonna be there.
No,
like,
you'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like you do want to play. Like you want to give people something to cheer about or scream about, or, you know, people spend so much time and money and resources to come and watch you play. And
although Caitlin's desire to return and play is the subject of this tape, she also made a significant statement that should have every executive in the Fever and WNBA offices paying close attention. To give them something to yell about, Her admirers are the ones that spend a lot of money to see her perform. She seems to be being prevented from performing the show they agreed to at the moment. And it's clear that this is dangerous. Interest will decline if you make Caitlyn stop playing like her. Yes, they enjoy her story, leadership, and charisma. However, this is still amusement. The product on the floor is the main focus. Even though Jason Whitlock's statement caused a lot of controversy, it is true.
Hey, there are two groups of Indiana Fever fans. There's a group of Indiana Fever fans that want to see the Indiana Fever play well, and they enjoy Caitlin Clark. And then there's a group of Indiana Fever fans who aren't Indiana Fever fans. They're Caitlin Clark fans. And all they want to see is Caitlin Clark win an MVP, shoot logo threes, prove that she's 10 times better than Angel Reese, and they really don't care about winning or losing.
Instead of being lulled to sleep during a Fever win, I would rather to be amused by Caitlyn during a Fever defeat. And I'm not alone. Before Caitlin Clark, there was a lot of safe system basketball in the WNBA. What do you know? It didn't shatter attendance records, sell out arenas, or spark much conversation. Indeed, winning is important. But you can have both with Caitlin Clark. Entertainment and victory. Iowa demonstrated that. Caitlyn did more than only win games under Lisa Blutter. She enthralled a country. And after she graduated from college, that trend continued. The WNBA is currently experiencing a billion-dollar boom. The aggregate value of the team has doubled, $3.5 billion. The at least $2.2 billion new media rights agreement. Don't get me wrong, Caitlin Clark and the hype she generated at Iowa are directly responsible for that spike. She didn't simply improve the Fever's reputation. She changed the league's course, which is why what's happening now feels so confusing. There must be some internal conflict here, in your opinion. I have no doubt that Caitlyn and Stephanie White have mutual respect, but when you start hearing statements like these, you can't help but question how profound the strategic split actually is. Consider their most recent victory over the Sky without Caitlyn.
This was the statement that Stephanie White gave, and I'm sorry if I read this and immediately thought, oh, this is lathered, marinated, soaked, drowned in shade towards Caitlin Clark. When it's not about you, transcendent, dynamic player, potentially best player this league's ever seen. When it's not about you and it's about everybody else and it's about the whole, it makes it worth it. It makes going through the struggles worth it. And I just think that this group is a special one. You beat the Chicago Sky.
In isolation, a comment about the collective isn't all that horrible. After all, it's a team sport. However, it begins to feel extremely different when compared to this interview. It creates an image. Caitlyn is a self-assured player who likes to make huge plays and doesn't mind taking chances, but she's being pushed into a system rather than being the one. Additionally, it seems as though she is being explicitly instructed to play risk-averse basketball, or is being conditioned to do so when she plays. It's not only a poor tactic, that's restricting the WNBA's most potent engine to date. This interview was more than just illuminating. The curtain was ripped open because, once you make the connection, it's difficult to ignore the reality. Not just their best player is being limited by the Fever. They might be impeding the league's overall future. I'll say it one final time now. Watch the kitchen close or let Caitlyn cook. What are your thoughts? Sound off in the comments. I appreciate you watching.